G'day folks, welcome along to the mailbag. We've got a huge day of racing, one of the biggest days of racing in Australia. We've got the world's richest sprint race, the Everest, which has drawn together the best sprinters in Australia, and the blue riband of 2400 metre handicap racing, and that is the Carlton Draft Caulfield Cup. Weather conditions not too good for us, but here in the booth, it's fantastic. Dicko, Jackson and Mark, welcome to you all. How are you feeling about the punt today, given we've got wet ground, guys?
It's a little bit sort of surreal having the golden tonsils
That's
mailbag
John Lodge, you idiot.
Very, very exciting.
Here I am, seated at the right hand of God.
I told you I was the devil, you idiot. Jackson, welcome to you, mate. How are you looking at the program today? Because we've got a lot of horses, particularly in Melbourne, that have been racing on soft yielding tracks, but nothing like this where we've had constant rain, where the track will deteriorate through the day, and if we get more rain, it's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, 100% on a heavy 8, looking for the horses that handle that sort of ground. If we get sort of any rain during the meeting, even if it's only 1 or 2 mils, then it's going to be, I think, much worse, and then we're going to have to look for horses that handle real heavy ground.
And I think with the way it's like we've had 2 meetings in 4 days. Yeah, we've had a little break, but it's pissed rain yesterday, like an absolutely pissed rain here.
Are you allowed to say that on this program?
Yeah, we can say pissed is okay.
I've got a good story with piss in it later on. As far as the program's concerned, we had the rail, the true for the guineas, then went 9 metres for the 1,000 guineas. We're back in the true. My man that's walked the track says the inside from the 1400 to the home corner is cut up as a length to 2 lengths slower. In the straight, it's much worse. In the straight, you need to come out 3 to 6 metres to that lane. If you go back to the 9 metre lane, you'll be hitting slower ground. So the winners today will be coming 3 to 6 metres out. Okay, don't record this in case I'm wrong. That's a very big chance of happening. The Cup incentivised Mark's the drifting favourite. He was always too short to start with, do you think?
Well, he went up odds on, I think, in places after his last win. That was always going to be too short in a big handicap like this, I think. Yeah, I think he's just getting out to something like his true price, and it depends on how big a factor you think that barrier is going to be.
What do you think about the barrier, Jackson? Because we've got heavy ground. It's not like we're racing on a bone dry.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd rather him be draw out there than drawn sort of inside in that 1 or 4. I don't think the barrier is sort of a huge concern. Be interesting to see what the market does late if this track stays in the heavy range, whether the market sort of takes him on or not. But yeah, I think he'll keep drifting a little bit. Sort of 320, 340 looks more his right price.
Dicko, the thing with him is he comes out of weight for age races. He's got a lot of upside. He's got a bit of the might and power in him, but he's not as good as might and power. But he's got big lungs. He's going to be strong, the 2400. He's going to be there for the fight, and he doesn't have to lead.
He was there to be beaten the last 2 starts. Nothing went sort of perfectly for it. Like Very Elegant was going to run straight past him, and it didn't. I think he ticks a lot of boxes. I think we make him 320, so it's going to become a little bit of a decision probably later on if the market keeps taking him on. We've backed the Chosen One, who was enormous last week, and we've backed...
better run than the Delphi, I reckon. He had no chance against Delphi, and what he did, wow, that was a big run.
And then when you draw the Delphi form line, non-conformist, SP'd favourite $4 versus the Delphi 8, and knocked it off.
But
and then since beat Zaki and almost beat Probabil. So we've backed non-conformist and the Chosen One at this stage. The favourite non-conformist could be a decision for us later on if it keeps drifting, and Delphi's another one that will be a decision for us. I think particularly Delphi and non-conformist, one of their biggest edges is with those wide draws, they have to go forward. Ollie's going to be right wherever if it's 3 to 6 or if it's 3.5 to 4 at that stage of the day, that's where that horse will be.
With you got the Delphi coming across in the race. The little worry Jackson I had with non-conformist is his main artillery is his turn of foot. On a heavy track, I reckon that goes out the door at 2400, makes it more of a slugfest, and takes him out of play to some. Yeah,
it'll be interesting if the track gets in that real heavy range. I think if it improves a little bit and we get maybe an upgrade, I think it'll be all right. But if it's sort of a heavy 8, heavy 9, and we get a bit of rain on the meeting,
there was that day we backed non-conformist and he failed at Caulfield on a bog.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
I reckon he's a real risk. I reckon he's a big risk, and sorry to bring him up after I didn't know your story there, all the sadness you had. What about you, Mark? Young Bertha, he's got the right form because he's got the form against the favourite, and he's still untapped, even though he's only won a maiden at his first start. Here he is in the Caulfield Cup, a $10 chance.
He nearly won a Victoria Derby, didn't he, Dicko, from memory?
Dennis Pagan knocked him off. Well done, Danny, skipping a run. Genius.
There's nothing wrong with his form. I mean, his win strike rate on its own isn't enough to get rid of him in a race like this. Look at Seamus Award in the Cox Plate from the same stable, Maiden. You know, it's he's got strong form. He's in the race, isn't he?
He's certainly in the race. If you think Incentivise is in the race, he's in the race. Like he was very, very good versus it last week.
A lot of the pros and the mugs like me were saying on dry ground there's probably only 4 chances. Now we've got a wet track. What's the dynamic? How many chances? Dicko?
I think you can get rid of a couple, but not many. I think they all drop away equally, just about, to be honest.
Jackson?
And it's so far down the track, who knows what the track's going to look like.
Yeah, 6 or 7 chances, winning chances. The rest of them you can probably get rid of, but I think it's a little more even than the market.
Okay, what about you, Mark? How are you seeing it?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Half a dozen chances, and I mean, I don't know how the favourite's under $3 to be honest, but that's it. He's clear top pick.
You'd be dead if you took $1.95 earlier in the week. Let's go back to the first race on the program. A pretty poor race. Eagles Craig is the favourite for the race. He's had a few issues with feet. His best form is better than these because they're going nowhere. Am I right in saying that, boys?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Just another one. I think the market sort of opposing this morning was sort of $2.25, $2.30. They opened $2.80. Was smacked into $2. That was a surprise. I think his right price is more around that $3, $3.30. And
But a little bit of FYI for the punters at home. Jackson and I took
$9,
$3 that day at
evens.
We took evens the day that they.
I wish you get your stories right, boys. $3 an even money.
We took evens the day they left at Tap On at Benalla. He was into $1.50. They called the races off.
Yeah.
You know, they opened him up at $1.50 and he pissed in. So we took evens at Benalla.
We're not taking evens.
I don't think we want to take evens Caulfield Cup Day. You know?
The thing out of that race too, Mark, is he beat Tredare. Now I've been going to the country races and calling him. He's got a bit of sluggish about him.
Isn't much good.
We've backed Sandals Express, took $9.
It's in a 460.
Ghost Doctor, any chance on wetter ground?
Well, we backed it last when it won at Bendigo, just
Of course, yes.
purely because it swum.
Yeah. This is obviously...
I think if this was sort of race 7, race 8, you could almost spec it right now, hoping that it just becomes completely bottomless.
Yeah.
And you've got the swimmer.
But
Race 1, you'd hope that there's a bit of...
What about Mimi's Awards? Only had the 1 run back from a spell. Dynamic against her. Went okay. Got a pass mark, you reckon, Jackson? Because she's a bit of fresh blood into the race.
Yeah, 100% pass mark. Her numbers sort of last preparation were okay without being terrific, and she came back with a career PB. There, I think a wet track will suit, and she maps good in the game.
She's been backed.
Yeah.
And the Hayes camp, there's a little bit of like sort of implied pressure on them when they took over. A lot of staff left. They're going really, really well.
The problem they've got at the moment is their lower grade horses are flying.
Yep.
They're flying, but they've just got no good horses to go into these meetings. They've got a real rebuild there. And I think it's a good learning curve also for the boys where they can come in and they say, well, we don't have pressure going to Caulfield Cups or anything like that. They're learning their craft.
Yep.
They're going to be okay in the long run. It's just a little period that they've got to go through. Similar to what David did when he went from Lindsay Park in South Australia, Mark, and started up at Euroa. Everyone said he's gone. But when you're a Hayes, you're not gone.
No, I thought you were going to say when David took over in the first place from his father, when he trained 6 Group 1s in a day in his first season.
He goes all right, is that what you're saying?
He goes all right, he's got the runs on the board, but yes, that shift to Euroa was another step. They're going in a different direction and it did take a little settling in period, yeah.
Okay. Second race on the program, not much depth here. Vianello's got the right form, rock solid fit, comes from the right stable. Jackson, is it the horse to beat? Are you happy to take around the 270, 280? Because there's not a great deal of depth there, is there?
No, there isn't. Look, probably the best horse in the race, but sort of deep in the preparation here. They're all of them are pretty well exposed. But look, it deserves to be favourite. Do I want to take 270?
Yeah, I think we'll
not.
just move straight through this. To answer your question, yes, it's a horse to beat, but there's not a price that we're going to take.
Okay, what price would you rate her at? And if you were to back her, I've got a gun and put it to your head, and I'd never do that, Dicko, but if I did, and there'd be no bullets in it, but if I did, don't even make you piss your pants, as you say.
If you must bet, I'd have something on No Crying and the favourite Vianello, but you don't have to bet, and I wouldn't bet.
Yeah, I thought No Crying could be the improver here, gets winkers on, was just too far back last start of the last 200 metres, up to the 1400 I think will suit. Yeah,
Both a good drive.
and it's a good map. So in a race with limited sort of horses with limited ability, I thought it could be the improver.
How much negative we're going to put on gate number 1 today? Because I'm sure punters, from my point of view, are going to be very strong on it.
Well, if you're correct, it's going to be a massive bonus.
What do you mean that if I'm
correct?
If I'm correct? Of course I'm correct.
You're our only source of offences off so far, so if you're correct.
Punters are going to take that into account. And it makes sense because they did race there on dry ground. They all stayed near the fence most of the time. And the Caulfield tracks played really well, boys, but this is a different kettle of fish now altogether.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a bit of a stiff result, really, for the staff. This is a track that's sort of disappointed last couple of seasons, and they've done a really good job this
Flying.
year. And then they've copped this rain.
Yeah. But it is Melbourne. On to race number 3, Extreme Flight, the favourite for the race. He's going well. He's drawn the right part of the track. He'll be coming down the centre. He'll sit just off the speed. Firstly, with the Freedman galloper, its form in Sydney doesn't look much chop. It was okay last time out. Is it got any chance of knocking the locals over?
Look, I haven't done this race, but I have not. This is Park Avenue we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't have a huge opinion of it. I've bet against it a couple of times in Sydney. I think he's just a pretty
and it's going to be back and inside, which is probably the place you don't want to be as well.
Yeah, because if TV's Mail's right, which is a big if.
Which we're saying it is.
I drive all the way down the highway, 20 minutes to be here, and they say, F, fair then. What about a horse like Prince Alexander? I reckon he was ridden a bit too hot the other day.
Yeah, I think he settles near last, like 1 or 2 off, and
down
down the
the
right in
outside.
that slot where you want to be.
Yeah. Winker's on first time. Like this looks like a bit of a.
And I would say, just sorry to cut you off, Jacko, but barrier 1, the horse we back last start, when they're barrier 1 going to settle last, I don't think that's much of a negative because he's going to settle last, he can be off the fence before you know it.
You got Cheerful Legend in the race. I called him winning at Mornington. They put the Bank of Sedan on him that day when he was able to win and got the money easily. He looks a promising horse. He just probably wasn't quite furnished enough last time in, but the wet ground's just a little query with it, like so many.
Yeah, I think he obviously maps pretty well.
Sad's flying a little bit and loves backing.
Yeah, our performance at Mornington, like on the punting form stuff, it didn't rate that well. So he's in the game, but
Okay, let's go on to race number 4 for the 3-year-old fillies. We've mentioned before they're probably for 3-year-old fillies, they're probably one of the weakest bunches we've seen in recent years. So the results are going to chop and change. And Mark, the form between the Sydney ones and the Melbourne ones, the Sydney ones were having $41 chances winning and $21 chances winning. So there's nothing between them, is there?
No, and we saw a horse win the 1,000 guineas to come down from Sydney earning at big odds, and yet one of the Hins was one of the favourites, and I mean she was slaughtered but ran nowhere. So it's been the same story.
Odd run. She was coming sort of coming again through the line.
Right, okay.
When she looked like she was completely stopping at the 600.
Which tells you something about the form, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she that was just what I was going to say. She probably wasn't coming. They were all just sort of in their own way stopping.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and we have a horse coming through a Kyneton, a Kyneton run that's $2.20 here. So like, they're all no good.
Yeah.
Now, the big thing with this race is Kapalua Sunset, and I don't listen too much to radio or other media, what's going on. I like to live in my own little bubble, as you can see. Kapalua Sunset, I was there when it won at Kyneton. She's a little raw thing, bony, doesn't carry much condition. Brett Preble gave her a pretty good rap and said there's a long way to go to get to an Oaks, but she looks like she'll stick on. She wanted to over-race early, and then apparently Preble's come out and said, no, this is Kingston Town or Surround and Winks all in one for the Oaks, and it's going to be this and going to be that. But my mail is that the other one, the filly that beat the boys, is the better one of the O'Brien's horses.
Which one's that?
El Patroness.
El Patroness,
Yeah.
Blessed in run at Flemington, Gunstock slaughtered, wide, savage the line, just knocked off by El Patroness, who led Preble Road.
Okay, so what about Kapalua Sunset? You're getting 210, 215. The horse that she beat, I know she beat 7.5 lengths, failed there and got smashed the other day at Kyneton.
Yeah, look,
Don't all jump in at once, boys.
look, has to be a chance, obviously, but I thought 220 was a skinny enough. Maybe sort of 280 I could get involved. Somewhere in the middle is probably the right
The way we
price.
price, Terry, is like largely, it brings us to a point via like automation. So it spits out a base price from which
We can tinker.
we get to work on, but we can't make a $1.80 shot into a $4 shot. So we both don't really like this horse, but the machine's spitting out like $1.90, $2. So it's doing things that for us work, but it's not a bet we're going to have. We've had 2 small bets in this race, 2 half bets, or we've had one and you've had another. But I couldn't agree more with yours. I thought yours was an outstanding performance from an unwinnable position last start.
And that's Daisy's, folks, by the name.
So that's race 3, number 11, Daisy's.
Race 4, number 11. Geez, you're having a bad day. Are you tipping today? Daisy's first run, no idea. Second run, didn't know what to do.
Yep.
Its last run, in my opinion, race shape killed it.
Yep.
Taken back, getting ready for this race today, and then maybe the Wakeful, and then onto the Oaks. She's not really bred to stay, but she looks like a stayer to me. I think she's a $5 or $6 chance. And the big thing, Mark, with this race, the form we've had has been topsy-turvy. Yeah. Now we're going to 2,000 metres and we're hitting a heavy track.
Yeah. Just on that profile, it could be a result race.
Yeah, there's boxes everywhere though. Elusive Express almost won on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Barrier 13 last start wasn't a good thing. Barrier 11's probably going to be good here. Goes P. Maloney to D Lane.
D Lane, yep.
It's a box-ticking horse with a heap of scope. I agree with you.
Of the roughies in the race, like you've got Stalking, probably not a roughie. She's going well.
We've backed Stalking as well. So we've had 0.6 on Stalking at 9.50, and we've had half a unit, 0.5 at 11 on Daisy. So they're our 2 results in this race. We're risking the favourite.
Okay, what about Morissette down the bottom? Shithouse Singer, but the horse, they say, goes all right. What do you think?
I thought she...
About the horse, I'm talking about you, Bills.
I reckon she parades pretty well for a... she'd be older than Mark. Sorry, see, we're not going to get you in trouble. We're going to... Straight. Look, I don't think it can win. I don't think it can win.
No?
Yeah, I tend to agree. That Oaks preview, I think you want to be taken bar braided sort of only towards the Oaks, and the rest of them are just sort of...
Numbers.
Numbers, average lot.
Okay, we're going to go to the Ned's Classic now. Interesting race, this one. You got Gunstock with the blinkers going on. He was so good last time at his $3.50, $4. Micro just didn't get around the valley last time out. Tiz Magic was really good and has only had a couple of runs. Gundeck got his Christmas present the other day. Il Patroness, I think she's a handy filly.
I think the Tiz Magic is a similar profile to the Daisy's profile. Very hard to sort of put a cap on how good it could be, and it could well be a bet today. But Jackson very astutely pulled the trigger on a big roughie. What we take, $51, mate?
Yeah, $41, I think.
Number 10, Reset the Jazz, being backed. That's going to be our big result in this race.
It's about $13 now, boys. Geez, you've done well. That's if it wins, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, that...
Don't want to spoil the party for you.
No, well, we're in a good spot.
It's
Great, man. We're in a good spot, but we're in a bit of a dilemma because Jackson's a micro man and I'm a big Gunstock man, and we need to decide sort of...
Come to blows later.
Do we pull the trigger? Do we not? It's early in the day, so if we pull the trigger one way and it's wrong...
Well, a question for you, boys, Jackson. Yep. When you get $50 to $1 Reset the Jazz, and you probably can lay it $17, $18 on the fair. Will you lay back a little bit as well and keep your stake, or you just go all in?
No, I don't lay back. I would.
Good on you, Jackson.
Because percentage-wise, it's not a massive move in. I would be more inclined to lay something back if I back something at $3.50 and it's even money. Reset the Jazz, just on that horse. It was a huge close at Bendigo when it won, and on a heavy 8, so handles the wet. It's going to be out in the right part of the track. I just think it's a great bet.
Antonio Giovanni, Mark, what do you think of its chances?
Progressive, interesting to see him get out to 2,000. Wasn't a bad race. He was, I think, second in last time.
Yep. He was the only horse to make ground in the race.
That's right.
The horse back to the inside.
That's right. It was a good run unsuited, and I do have a bit of time for him. I don't know enough about the opposition to make any bold statements, but interesting that they're getting him out to 2,000 already.
Any comments, boys?
It's in the game, I think, that Antonio. Gunstock, I'm pretty confident is the best horse in this race and gets blinkers on first time, which it looks like it probably needs, and 2,000's the plus. It's just going to be, is that inside gate, on this by race 5, is it okay? It might be back and buried was sort of my only concern at the price range.
Mm-hmm. And Micro Dicko, I didn't think it got around the valley. Big horses normally get around the valley, but his big track win was at Bendigo when he won his maiden against ordinary horses.
Yeah, I forgot you very, very good in the Guineas. I think Micro's one of those horses that's had enough opportunities and you want to sack it, but then it does a little bit, does just enough, and they give you just enough of a price to grow you completely up. I'm not knocking the horse, but I just think if Gunstock was in blue silks it'll be $2.50 right now.
Okay, let's go to race number 6. Favourite for the race here is Buffalo River. If the ground was dry, we wouldn't be taking $2.50, but if he's ever to win another race, and this is if he doesn't win today, he goes in the ban basket, never be released.
100% right. This is his last opportunity for us. Look, most people were of the opinion that Caulfield track last week played perfectly.
Yep.
I didn't think you want to be rails and run or leading, and he was both. The quick backup on a wet track, I think there's just plenty of ticks here. We've taken a better price than what there is currently, but I think
370, 380?
Yeah, 370, 380, around that mark.
We're buddies, aren't we? I can get a bit of that with you.
Fuck no.
It's actually one of the smaller bets we had. Unfortunately, it's one of the smaller bets we had today, but we've taken a good price.
Probably underbetted. I wouldn't be surprised if the big teams come for him even more, actually, and he starts a bit tighter in the market.
The only negative is Ollie off, Jai on, but it's just going to be so.
Isn't a hard ride here. Like he
just jump, Jai. Don't overthink it.
He's just going to control the race. He's just going to lead. He has to get away from the fence and the home straight for a front runner, which is never ideal, is it, Mark? When you're back front runners, you like to see them kick hard against the rail.
In an ideal world, but
this is race 5. If
race 6, mate. Come on.
If the mail's right, TV, the boys will be onto it. They'll be running 2 or 3 off the fence by now anyway.
I would say, if you can get your own lead, if you can get on a loose lead, you can be first to the right spot, even if you're not scraping the paint. So it can still be.
The horse leads easily.
Yeah,
it's going to start favourite. So it's the best horse in the race. He should be able to go quicker than him to go wherever he wants.
Yeah. The top weight Zutori at the weight scale, he's a Group 1 winner. He's just so well placed in this race. But the question mark, heavy ground, 1,400 metres.
Yeah, he's the best horse in this race for sure, not Buffalo River.
Fair.
The wet track would be the concern, and that's probably the reason the market's against, and that's the reason that I'm against too.
Okay, you've got King Magnus flying, honest. He's about $7 or $8. And then you've got Be Good to Your Mother, who's showed something last time out, guys.
Jackson backed him.
I backed him.
Sorry, mate.
It was sick.
Should I stop talking for the rest of the day?
Look,
That's a young word though, smoothly.
He's going to be on speed and as well. Can win, probably near right price though.
Okay, what do you like in that race? Are you going to? Is this the Buffalo? This is it?
Yeah, this is it. This is it.
But no more chances.
Got a price.
We've backed Buffalo. Another horse we've not spoken about, we could be backing later on, King Magnus. Loves track and trip. I don't think Zutori's suited to Caulfield. I don't think it's suited with Linda Meach on. I think it's a Flemington horse. I'd love to see Linda ride at Flemington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great opportunity to bet around it today.
Why is it not suited with Linda Meach on it?
Because she's not going to get to roll to the front on it. She's going to have to ride it like a bit smart, bit covery. I much prefer Linda rolling forward and counting, not being dictated to by the race shape.
Okay, fair enough. On to race number 7. Colette had that little abscess with the foot. She missed the Caulfield Cup. She's absolutely flying. She hits the right conditions. She's a weighted certainty, boys. Correct or not?
Moral. Wins. It'll win.
It's easy.
Should we just go to the next race?
I think we've backed it heavily. It's one of the bigger bets we've had today. I think it wins.
The concern and the reason you would be against would be they were trying to get her up in trip earlier this prep, and now we're dropping back from a mile to the 1,400 metres. Had a bit of a hiccup. We think it's the Equicast on. I have no idea what that does, but it doesn't sound great. But on a wet track, it won't be an issue. You wouldn't think, unbeaten on a heavy.
It's not a major, an abscess like that. And this stable, mate, they're all over. They've got the best vets. You don't have best farriers. Yep. You don't have to worry about that stuff.
It's like a pro athlete getting to the grand final, you know?
Yeah. And it's up against horses that you could see at a Mornington Saturday Cup meeting, couldn't you?
100%.
Yeah, or Kyneton on a Tuesday, some of them.
No, Mornington Cup, don't put Kyneton. They wouldn't go to Kyneton. If they did, I'd be all over them, mate. They never get on. Colette, good thing, Mark?
Appears to be under the weight setup here, yes. I was on Nimoli last time and I thought she was it was a hot rail that day, but I thought she had a chance to go past Vangelic and didn't. The sting out of the ground or even heavy won't bother her. I think she prefer it in the soft range. And as the betting suggests, she's the danger, but Colette does look beautifully placed.
Okay, race number 8. This is the Yalingi. Varda's the favourite for the race, going great guns at the moment for the stables, had the one run back. You've got Bless Her, who's a very, very good wet tracker. You've got Ruby Saki in the betting as well. Also a good chance to emanate. And a couple of roughies in the race. Tough race or an easy race, Jackson?
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty easy race. I thought the top weight here, the Godolphin horse Varda, would just win, to be honest. I
love it.
A wet track. A wet track is ideal. Has some numbers on the punting form, especially over the 1100, that's good enough to win this. I think she maps right in the slot. Barrier 7, like her main danger in the betting, Rubisaki, is going to be drawn 1 and back and inside. And
Not good for her, is it?
No.
It's an ugly look.
And she had a couple of okay runs last prep, but I don't think she came up sort of at her best.
Yeah.
And the jump out between runs wasn't anything great, so I was happy to sort of risk her. Bless her is like a really good wet track against blinkers on, but I don't think it's in the class of our one. So we've taken $384, and I think she just wins, Varda.
I think that Bless Her race isn't a strong form reference, but gee, she was good first up for Clayton.
She's a good wet tracker, Dicko.
Yeah.
She's got an outboard motor.
And if I agree with Jackson, and if Sugartown wins, that's probably when the stream's going to stop.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So we're anti Sugartown.
Just back to the last 2 starts, and like it's just how it didn't win at Mooney. Was it Mooney Valley? Sick.
You should have won at Caulfield. It was home and hose at Caulfield. It wasn't when I was calling the last race.
Sandown,
came from nowhere.
he snicked to last for some reason and completely
Sandown.
flew down
The problem with her butt, Dicko, is she will not drop the head. She just refuses to drop her head and settle. That's why they bring her back to the 1100 metres. She could be getting out to the 12 and running a solid 12, but she won't drop her head. It's obviously very frustrating for the stable and can make jockeys look bad.
Yeah.
Well, she's a smart horse. Like I backed her on debut, and we got knocked off at Kyneton by Vowmaster, who's a pretty.
And you were knocking Kyneton form a moment ago.
No, I love Kyneton.
Beautiful course.
Jack Irish, extra.
Any thoughts on M&8, Mark? Ollie on, it's been back this morning.
It has stablemate of our bet. Look, I have to lead Nevada over M&8 under these conditions. I mean, she's unbeaten on heavy. She's got some through-the-roof figures on heavy ground. M&8's best run, just going off the top of my head here, was she got in a really fast run race at Rose Hill one day, and she flew, but she hasn't really ever gone up to those heights again, and that was on a firmer surface than this as well. I think, look, Varda's the exact opposite of that. The wetter it gets, the better she goes.
Beautiful.
Oxley Road favourite in the last race. Won its maiden at Flemington on a very, very heavy track. He's had 2 runs back. He's had a little bit of a break since his last run. There's a lot of positives for him, isn't there?
Yeah, looks well placed on the heavy track, I thought. Its performance last start rated sort of almost 11 lengths above on the punting form. That's better than anything else did last start in this race. I thought Curran, if it was a dry track, would just win. The wet track's the issue, and I wish they went somewhere else.
That was a great no bet by you. I wanted him to back that on Wednesday. Well done.
Thank you, Jack. Any thoughts here, mate? Or
No, I hate the race.
beautiful.
Mark?
Just interested to see Malkovich going around on the heavy. He's one of the fastest horses over 400 or 500 metres in Sydney. I know that. What's going to happen by race 10 on a heavy to a horse like him? He's going to.
He won well Caulfield when it was pretty firm from memory.
Yeah, but how that's going to stack up on heavy ground race 10 today? He might be getting a bit weary in the last 100, I would suspect. But he's a very, very fast horse.
I suppose happy to try and find a bet towards the end if Sugartown hasn't won. But let's wait and see. This is 10 races time. They might be on the outside fence by now, you know.
Okay, boys, at the moment, the sun's shining, the wind's out. It's probably going to rain like you wouldn't believe in a few minutes' time. Who knows? What's, finally, your Caulfield Cup tip?
I'll go with the boys. Whatever they take. I can't remember that.
Mark's got no interest, so we'll piss him off. What about you, Jackson?
The chosen one for me.
Chosen one?
Yeah, looks very well placed. I think just at the price, look, Incentivised is obviously the best winning chance in the race, but at the price, the chosen one for sure.
Yeah, non-conformist for me, and then probably the Delphi be next with Incentivised. So we've backed the chosen one and non-conformist at this stage.
Okay. Let's go to Sydney, Mark. We've got the running of the Everest. What's this edition looking like this year? We're on a soft 7, rail back in the true.
Yeah, look, it's a great race every year, to be honest. It's despite its lack of Group 1 status, it makes up for that with $15 million in prize money. So not surprisingly, you always get a great field, and this is no exception. Track and weather-wise, a bit similar to Caulfield. They've gone true out to 5, back to true. Soft 7, quite windy, really strong westerly. So it might get a bit better than a 7 underfoot, but that westerly wind's going to have some impact and probably doesn't suit inside barriers, similar to Melbourne.
Okay, what's your speed map for this race looking like? Because it's going to be vital, and the tempo of the race. Because you've got many elements in this race, haven't you?
Well, it looks on paper like it'll be fast. I mean, you've got horses like Eduardo in the race at Nature Strip, so they're not going to go slow. But I have a suspicion that unless something like Lost and Running just is turned loose to try and join the lead, Eduardo will lead and McDonald will just come across and sit outside him, not get involved in a speed battle. And National Eduardo won't want to gas his either because he's a little suspect at 1,200 metres. So it'll be a good, strong gallop, but it might not be this like the suicidal tempo we saw last year, which set it up for Classique Legend.
Okay, interesting Classique Legend. Like, this will be a great training effort. This will be one of the great ones.
Yes.
This will be up there with Robbie Lang with that Pintyre horse winning
In the Grand Annual,
after being in the spelling paddock for 25 years.
It's a big task. I mean, but if you've seen his trials, he appears to be flying. We were talking on our preview show yesterday, which Mark Sheen says he's a big, gross horse. It's a real yard watch for him. Mark's actually lucky enough to be on track for the first time in years up in Sydney today. So he's going to be looking for his fitness levels in the yard, and I'm going to be talking to Rob Scurry about that too, because improving track, if this wind dries it out a bit, is obviously in his favour. He's not legless on wet, but with that fitness query, you'd rather the drier the better for him. You wouldn't want him trying to slog it out on an 8 or 10.
Okay. How are you boys seeing this race?
Well, I have a massive opinion of the Inferno. Just concerned about the wet track. I've sort of just taken an early price all in, but yeah, I don't really have too much of an opinion on the race.
I love the way Mark's bet so far. I think we're on the best horse with a beautiful map, ticks all the boxes. I'd love to see it sort of. I'd love to see Mark sort of horn up a little bit of lead in the pencil for Masked Crusader, who I think is a bit of a beast, but needs a lot to go right.
But he's going to be out the back, and if they don't go fast and they make it a sprint home, then he's, it's hell's bells.
He just always walks out of the gates. He's always in the last couple. He does have a fantastic turn of foot, but I can half see this race panning out like the TJ did in the autumn. Eduardo leads out Nature Strip. Nature Strip takes over at about the 300. And look, who's this flashing home for second? It's Masked Crusader up the inside, you know.
You ever wanted to be a race caller? You sound pretty
Well, it's all right when I've seen it before. When it's unfolding live in front of me, it might be a different story. But well, that's how I hope it pans out anyway. But look, I know Dicko loves Masked Crusader. He runs incredible closing splits, but he has to because he just gets into such awful spots.
Okay, what's the program like there? We're going to start with race number 4 for your tips. The favourite for the race is Fangirl, but it looks pretty open. Yeah,
look, Fangirl was scratched from the Flight Stakes when they drew wide, and they've got the opposite problem today. It's drawn 1. It's coming off a very impressive Goulburn maiden win, which doesn't sound too impressive, but it did go very well that day, and McDonald hops on. But he's going to have to do something very clever from gate 1, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it drift. Decent rain coming up from Melbourne, I thought. Got to line quite well at Moonee Valley last start. It's actually been backed. I think.
Can it run 1400?
I don't know. There's not going to be much speed in this, so that might play into its hands. It has shortened a little, so I think any value there might have gone for the time being. We'll have to watch. Gay Waterhouse, Adrian Botts Raduna will be up on the speed, and it's been backed as well. So look, Fangirl went up somewhere in the $3 range. I expected to drift out of barrier 1.
Okay, what about Gay's horse, Raduna?
Raduna, I was actually tempted to back it around $9, but last I looked it was into about $6.50. So the market has identified it as an on-pacer with a chance, and it's come into probably its right price.
I saw IMB, I think it was at Goulburn or somewhere like that. It's $41 into about 18. Ma Eustace has got no idea. No idea. Learning about racing. She could jump out of the ground.
And I think it was at Newcastle 900 or Randwick 1400. I can't remember the last time that was done. I think she's got ability, and I think she'll be on pace. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see her run a race. It's there to be won, this race, I think, for a start. There was another roughie I was giving a chance to, number 8, Wolves, so I think it's going to be drawn right spot. Unsuited last start, been unsuited a couple of times actually. Ran in some good races down here as an early 2-year-old against the likes of Arcaded, Artorius, those sort of things.
Yep. She leaned for Greg Urell a few times.
That's right. She's gone up to Anthony Mountney at Kembla, and 66 to 1. I think, like I say, I think it's a winnable race. You could do worse.
Jackson?
No opinion.
Pass. Dicko, pass.
No idea.
Righto, on to race number 5. The favourite for this is Art Cadeau. Another tough race. This is the Kosciuszko. Big field.
The other mountain race. Yeah, country restricted, obviously, this one. The same story as race 4. Handled the Truth. Clearly the best horse. He's coming off running against the likes of Nature Strip and Eduardo to racing the country horses, but he's drawn 1. I'd have him clear favourite if he'd drawn 9, but I think he gets back as well. He's probably a double figure odds chance, unfortunately. They've missed their chance. I don't really know where to go. The one they've backed is Art Cadeau. Always races well in these sort of country restricted races, soft ground, no problem. Drawn 3. Might be midfield fence as well. I couldn't take sub $5 it. Couple of odds I gave chances to were number 9, Iron Bay Boy, and 12, Ceasefire, who should be both like $17, $19 and better.
Yep.
They've got chances. I thought I had number 7, Edit favourite in my market. I think he's second favourite or third favourite in the betting, but just to show you how wide it is, I've got him marked 750 as favourite. So I think there are an absolute host of chances here. Just from a narrative point of view, hope it goes to one of the genuine country trainers, not one of the big, conglomerates. But
Like Paul Massara.
yes, a Narrowfield. Well, I'm actually tipping their horse. I'll stick the narrative out the window if I make it at 20s and it wins. But
100%.
Self-interest, my son,
you
self-interest.
can't beat it.
Race number 6, this is the Moet and Shandon handicap. The favourite's Big Parade, so how the fence holds up will be important to him, Mark.
Yes. Now, he had been sort of a lead at all costs, run them into the ground type sprinter, but last start they took a sit on him and he raced really well. Maybe that's going to be the key to him for the rest of his career, because one of the things about him being thus far is that he's always followed a really good performance or a win with a flat one. And that's even happened so far this prep. Dynamic win first up at Kembla, leading. Led at Kembla again, but was first beaten. Then last start they took a sit. He was probably lucky to beat Gravina that day, but they gapped the others. He went really well. So he's into close to $3 now. The question you've got to ask yourself is
How much we having on Kementari?
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, so you beat me to that.
I was getting to Kementari. I think Big Parade, having to put 2 together is a bit short. Kementari knocked Dicko. Has to put two together.
Yeah, well, he knocked off Zutori.
Yeah. Look, I think it's good form. I think that soft range is ideal for him. Bowman, midfield trail, could set up really well. The only reason you don't launch is because it's Kementari.
Yeah.
Just his name. If you gave him
I reckon we're going to do a lot of viewer interaction today.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if we're not at least having 2,500 of the Punters Club's money
I think
on the horse, just because they'll be voting for it.
No, they won't be voting. We back it and then batten down the hatches for the abuse we're going to cop for wasting their money on Kementari.
I love
100%.
it.
Yeah.
I've copped a shitload over the years. I'm used to it. I love it.
We can't let this race go without mentioning Senior Fox, who I think if the track is getting drier, comes right into this. He is trialling the joint down and a very good horse in his day. McDonald booked. I originally sort of half pinned him because I thought it was going to be heavy.
Yep.
But if it's an improving 7-6, then it might just get him back into the race. He is going very well, though, I think.
Craven plate scratchings have killed this. Think it over's the favourite, just into the tomato sauce.
Yeah, only, what is it, a field of 6 or something now. That's disappointing. Look, this looks like being a carbon copy map-wise of the Hill Stakes 2 weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago when Shared Ambition led Think It Over in a complete walk and they fought it out. Think It Over actually took over at about the 150 and looked like he was going to win by half, 3/4 of a length. Collapsed over the line. Shared Ambition nearly kicked back and beat him. I wasn't overly impressed with either run, but the fact is it looks like it's going to set up.
It is what it is, Mark.
It's going to set up like that again. I couldn't take odds on Think It Over at 2,000 metres in a fit. I think he's a miler and he's just getting away with races like this over 2,000. And he may well get away with this one as well, but odds on, not for me. Shared Ambition, a logical second favourite. I wanted to back Yonkers in a bigger field, and he was 30-1 in the full field. He actually was the only horse in the day to come down the middle at Rosehill that day when it was a hot rail. It was
pissed him.
Well, it was a bad race. It was a bad race.
It was winning a long way out.
Yeah. Defied the pattern and was short of his best trip. Now out to 2,000 with a pattern that should suit him. I thought at 30s he was a good chance, but I didn't back him, unfortunately. Now he's $10 and in the small field with no speed, probably not as good a bet.
I reckon you might have marked him $30 or something that day. You won at big odds.
Yeah, won about double that on the fair. Yeah. You backed him, did you? Yeah, of course.
It's what happens in our little mailbag family.
That's right,
Like,
yes.
I'll back
Oh,
horses.
I can see how memories are so good. One minute you're in it, yes, I remember that horse, and the next minute don't remember a thing. So.
Well, I'll back his overs, and I won't back mine. He'll back my overs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works.
Just none of us trust our own process.
Yeah.
So after the Everest, when Nature Strip wins, you're just going to sit back and have a look at this, are you?
I think so. Look, I'm tempted to bet because I don't like the favourite and his odds on. So Yonkers is one I'd consider. Lions Roar out to 2,000 and Soft Ground I'd consider as well.
St. Ledger on Tont just blouse, misses a run in the Caulfield Cup. Open race.
It is an open race, but I like one here. I actually wanted it to be a touch softer underfoot for her. But I think even if it's a 7 or a 6, that'll be soft enough for her. It's the bottom one, number 14, Higher Motion from the Mar Eustace Yard, who, as we know, are dynamite when we get out to this distance range.
How good are they, Mark? How good are their horses? Boys, as soon as they get past 2,000 metres, at start number 1 or start number 50 in their campaign, you just know, you trust them.
And
you can trust them.
Well, the market certainly trusts them. They're always backed. Not surprised at all to see any money, to see money for this horse early. I think that was probably weather driven, but I think she's beautifully placed at set weight. She's effectively on the limit. She bolted in with last year's Ansett Classic at Mornington, ran in at third up in this year's edition, maybe just peaked on a run. This is a $500,000 winnable race. This is her target. I think she was around $7 earlier in the week, but even at the 550 or 6 you can get now, I think she's still a great bet. I think I've got a favourite. On Tont was, unknown at 2,400 until his last 2 starts. So he's ticked that box. He's out to 26. He's going really well, and I can't knock the Waterhouse Botyard. I just want a slightly bigger price, giving the weight to Higher Motion, who I think is the one on the up for the prep, where he's at his peak. Not surprised to see the big move in the betting for Warning on soft ground. Bit of a hidden run in the Metrop. Did close off really well late, even though he's got a 0 next to his name in the form guide.
Got Nash
as well. Can win, but I think $7 you're paying a bit of a premium at now. Cariff is just an out-and-out stayer. I think is a chance third up out to this sort of distance. The one I don't like, I think, number 4, Fun Fact, and he is drifting now. I think he's a good tracker only, and he's drifting.
Okay, Mark, coming to the last race on the program, this will, traditionally known as the Get Out Stakes, but I'm relying on these blokes to get us through the day. What do we do?
Unfortunately, I don't know, because this is a race this time of day, 10 past 6. Everyone's going to be either winning, losing, and half full, and looking to have a bet in the last. And I think the market's giving us nowhere where to move. It's narrowed it down to 2, and I unfortunately can't disagree. It's number 1 Equation and number 8 Promise of Success. I think they're roughly. I think Equation is slight favourite.
They jump next to each other just about too.
It's about second or third favourite.
Yeah. So. Look, I lean to Promise of Success. I trust with Huey to find the right run rather than Brock Ryan on Equation, but Equation's well drawn. Could well get to the right spot. There's a horse I really like in the race, number 3 Suave. Her sections at Warwick Farm to actually knock off a horse I backed were sensational last time, but she's drawn 1. And if the track's playing as I forecast it will.
Got no mail for Randwick.
It probably gets rid of her. The bottom one, 3-year-old Cape Breton, I wanted to give a chance to as well, but he's drawn 2. So I think by process of elimination, Equation and Promise of Success are the 2. Look, I'll put it this way. If we get a price Promise of Success closer to $4, maybe that'll flush me out. But as it stands, I think the market's pretty right.
Okay, your play for the day is Nature Strip?
Nature Strip, I think, is a great bet in the Everest, and I'm really happy with the bet on Higher Motion and the St. Ledger. I think it'll give us a great side.
You boys betting in Sydney at all?
No, we do what we're told.
Yeah.
What, are you married or something? All right, boys. Well, let's have a look at the program for Caulfield racing today, and also for Royal Randwick. We're heading to Queensland now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to touch base with the King of Queensland, Shane Kelly.
Shane, good day, mate. How are you?
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Good morning, guys. We're still morning here in Queensland. The bar opened at 10:30 here this morning, and we're starting to fill up already. So it's going to be a pretty good atmosphere up here. Racing today at Eagle Farm. It's a soft track early. I think that'll improve. They've only had approximately 100 mil on the track so far this week, which is not enough to get it into the heavy range. So I'd imagine soft 5 in a drawing track. Look, just on face value, the favourites look pretty well found, and most of them rightly so. Not a lot of interest betting early in the card. Probably the most interest for me starts around race 4. A few of these races have been knocked around with scratchings, but I think, we'll just watch the first 3 races at Eagle Farm and we'll just see if there is a pattern. The track has been pretty hard to read of recent weeks. We have a rail that moves from the true to the 10-metre position regularly. And the last few weeks in particular, since we've had a bit of moisture about, it has been hard to sort of to find a pattern there. So, we saw Eagle Farm race last week where they wanted to be off the fence early, and then later in the day, the winner's going back to the inside. So we'll just monitor the first few races there. Just the one early bet for Punt Club for us today. So far, we're on race 8, number 7, Manazi. Look, I thought this horse looked pretty obvious to me, the only one in the race that's really looking for the 1400. I've got some question marks around the others, and the ones that I have the question marks on look to push forward as well. And from wide gates, Rhapsody Rose is the early favourite here from gate 9, has drawn wide and has been a little bit of a nightmare ride its last couple. So sort of anticipate from the gate, particularly with that early money for it that's been around this morning. I think the intent's there to push forward. And if they do, I think there's a few underneath that will go forward as well. So I think this sets up nicely for Manazi. He was the strongest late last start over 1200. And to me, it looks the obvious one in this race that was really looking for that 1400-metre trip now. We took $5.50. There were no deductions there. So it's currently around that 420 quote. So I think it starts around $4, maybe even sub $4. And I think we're in a really good position there. Look, there will be bets, throughout the card. I think the quaddie's pretty easy to identify. I'm particularly interested in race 5, working around the favourite, and I'm particularly interested in race 6, where the first 3 favourites I dislike as well. So it looks like there's some reasonably good betting opportunities, but just want to monitor the track early and see how it all plays. The other venue in Queensland is at the Gold Coast. It's a heavy 10 there. Fields have been decimated from scratchings, and it's left us with some very small fields and some short price favourites. So we're on one early bet there in race 7. Look, we took 250, I think, average price. Beck and Lenny, race 7, number 4. There is a deduction there now with the second favourite, Divine 11, scratching. So there's around about a 19-cent deduction there. So once again, it's another race with a small field, but he's adapt on the heavy tracks. He was the dominant winner on a heavy and handles the wet conditions. And look, if you want to fill in some time between listening to the previous show and the live stream, just go back and watch the replay of Beck and Lenny. I'm surprised there's not an attempted murder charge for the ride on that. It was a slaughter. So I was hoping that we get a better ride today. Danny Waite handles the soft track, so it should be winning. So yeah, look, all in all, I think the biggest the hurdle that I'll have to overcome today is the atmosphere here. It's going to be pretty dynamic. I just see a bloke walk behind me there with a beer tower. And it's 11 in the morning here. So it's going to be a big day. So, the challenge will be to keep our heads here, boys, and just try and pick the right spots. But we're confident that we'll win today. I think there's the obvious horses that are in the market that look the winners, and I'm very keen and pretty confident I'll probably back 5 winners and have 30 schooners before 6 p.m.
It sounds like we're in the wrong place here, champion. We should be up there with you. I remember when I called at the Gold Coast many, many years ago. Great track to call at, because the caller's box, you walk downstairs, and Speed Myers used to be there, and he'd give me overs all the time about every horse. I'd go up and have a bet, and he'd say, that's for TV. Give him the $6, the $5 chance. I never backed a winner with him. I went down after about 6 months of doing this, and I said, listen, Speed, I said, don't ever give me overs again, mate. I'd rather take unders off you, mate. You're killing me betting plan. You're killing me.
all that time you thought he was giving you overs because he thought you were a good bloke, but he just knew that you weren't backing a winner.
I think he knew I was a bad judge anyway. I'll tell you another story. I was calling there one year. There was a horse coming down the home straight, and the horse fell to the ground, fell on the track, and it was Laurie Bricknell's daughter and...
Jason Taylor?
No. I said daughter, not son. Boy, you idiot. Anyway, and the horse crashed to the turf. The bloke that ran Bone Crusher trained Gary Stewart, crashed to the turf, and I was on the PA and going, oh, this is terrible, ladies and gentlemen. This horse is crashed to the ground, and this looks really bad. And the connections were all running the horse, all in tears. And I'm going, oh, this is just awful. You know, the horse is in terrible pain. They're getting the curtain out for the horse. This is just shocking. I'm so distressed. The bloody thing jumped to its feet straight away and did a lap of the course.
I'm sure there's plenty of weird stories on and off the track there at the Gold Coast. I'm sure you'd have a few off the track stories too, Terry. I look forward to hearing them a bit later on in the stream.
Yeah, mate. I'll tell you what, I remember going to Eagle Farm for the first time. Walking into Eagle Farm was like going to heaven. It's like going to God's country. And I look at the fields today, and I've read a lot about what's happened with the track over the years, and I shake my head and I go, how could this ever get to this situation? I looked at the fields today because I don't follow Eagle Farm, and I looked at them and I went, unbelievable. Small fields like this at one of Australia's great tracks.
Yeah, it is a shame. Obviously, it's been pretty well publicised, the problems that the track's had, and I know that Racing Queensland are now sort of putting in some plans for more remedial work after we get through the summer carnival. But look, it is a great track. It's the best track in Queensland when it's right. We hope to see it back to its former glory, because you're right, the fields have been poor, and the better horses seem to be running at Doomben on Saturdays, and you get to a meeting like today where basically any horse that's accepted in Melbourne or Sydney would start a short price favourite in any race if it was in Queensland. So hopefully they've at least they put steps in place now to fix it and can hopefully return it back to its former glory for the Winter Carnival next year up here.
Sitting here, first time in the studio, and they're racing at Avoca, so the boys are watching Avoca races today. They've given you the token sass. And this bloke's here on his computer watching porn, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of this day. Good work, Shane. We'll see you right throughout the day, champion.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Good luck.
Okay, don't forget Gold Coast Race 7, number 4. Races 5 and 6, we're having a play, and race number 8, number 7, Manazi, the good thing. Any other advice before we go?
Just listen to Shane. He's very, very good.
Okay.
Today will be one of the rare days I actually watch them.
Yeah. I don't
Normally
watch
for
them.
my own mental health, I just back him, and then at the end of the day, I just sort of listen to Shane in the chat, if he's going, oh, get fucked, or he's going, I am God.
So
you kind of know what's happened.
This is different for me, Mark. You're not allowed to swear where I come from. And I'm used to having a commercial break, so I'm old now and I get a bit tired. And I like my commercial breaks, We're going to have anyone here's going to come running with a cup of tea or put a bit of makeup on.
No makeup, but we get you coffee, and we're going to have a couple of breaks throughout the stream. But we're done now. We're going to have an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay, so when are we coming back? What time are we back on?
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Roughly.
3 p.m. to about 6:10?
Roughly, yeah.
They're my sort of hours, folks. I'm looking forward to the rest of the day. We'll catch you soon.